My name is Donna Poth. It is a work in progress. My relationship with God, I believe, is very special to me. He has brought me through times that have been very difficult, times when my life was threatened, my life was an abusive relationship, and God said, I will keep you safe. And through my son, who's fought drug addiction and alcoholism, kind of followed his biological father's steps. There's been times where he's been homeless and he's been in prison, and there's times where I had no one to turn to, and I had nothing. I knew nothing where he was, and I was praying. I was like, God, where are you in this? Where are you? I need to know my son is safe. And he said, get on your knees. And I'm like, God, I really need, just give me a sign. And again, it was just that voice, get on your knees. And so I did, and I started praying, and I was crying. It was horrible. And it was like this touch from the top of my head that went, this warmth feeling that just went to my feet, and it was peace and calmness. And it was like I couldn't cry. There was no more tears. And honest, 30, 45 minutes later, my son calls me to tell me he was alive and he was safe. And God has shown me through my son and through a relationship I had with my ex-husband, he's there, and there's just no doubt. So my belief in God is very strong. I don't do a daily Bible study. I should. But every morning on my way to work, my car's like my sanctuary. And me and God talk a lot. And that's where, I cry, I yell, I ask questions. We just talk, and it's just me and him. And that's my commute to work. It's like a 20-minute drive. And pretty much that's how I start my day. And a lot of times it's like, gosh, when I started, I've been in the medical field for 5 years, and I know when I first started, I had it written on my computer. Everywhere I went, it's, just different Bible verses. And then I wear my ring that's got Jeremiah 29:11 on it. Probably when someone does not believe, and they see you and they ask you why you believe, and you try to explain it to them, and they still look at you like you're crazy, because there's just no way. Because even though they've had bad things happen, it's like I've had bad things happen, but I know God was in them every single step of the way. I have doubted my faith before. I would be lying if I said I hadn't. And I think in a lot of ways I've always known that there was a God, even as a young child. And as I got older, and then I experienced God, should I say, where I've heard him speak to me, and I knew he's brought me through situations, and he's shown me a lot of things. So I've doubted when it's like I haven't heard God for a long time, and things, it's like I'm constantly praying, I'm constantly talking, and then I don't hear from God. But a lot of times, someone had told me one time, it's when God is silent, it's through a test, the teacher's silent. And so God's always come through, whether I'm never going to say I don't believe, but I doubted that he was there for me. I've always known he was there, but I think there's times that I've doubted he wasn't there for me. But he's always proved to me otherwise. And I know when I had a hard time with, especially with my son, and I always go back to him because he's a big player in my faith, because God has shown me, through him going to prison, that I always thought, if someone's in prison, they deserve to just lock the door, and homeless. He's been homeless, and I've prayed for God to just get him out of the cold winters in Colorado, and my son calls me. He's like, Mom, I didn't do anything, but this cop took me to jail, so that's why I haven't called you. He was sleeping outside. And I just kind of laughed, and he's like, what's so funny about that? And I said, because I prayed that God would intervene and somehow you would get out of the cold and he would keep you warm. I said, and he did. As a child, we used to go to church, but it wasn't, I knew God. I knew of God. And as I said before, through my walk in life, the situations I've come across, I think has really strengthened, and to watch God move not only in my life, but in my kids' life and other people's lives, it's just strengthened it. There's just no other way around it, no doubt. My stepdad was a recovering alcoholic, and he was the best man to talk to about anything about God. He just knew it all. And so growing up, my mom never went to church. She didn't want to hear anything about God. Don't ever speak to her about God. And when she married this man, she turned her life to God. She got saved. She read her Bible, and it was the best thing in the world because I could call her and we could talk about God. And that was the best thing in the world because, someone that just refuses and then they just turn the page, and it's like there's just no doubting. So just all the experiences I've had in life has just really shown me that God is there. And I know I've heard his voice.